I never believed in ghosts. I still don't, really. Not in the way most people think of them. Floating sheets, chains rattling, moaning in the hallways. That's not what I'm talking about here. What I'm talking about is something else entirely. Something I still can't explain, even after 3 years of trying to forget it. My name is Marcus. I'm 26 now, but this happened when I was 23, just after I dropped out of community college for the second time. I needed work, any work, and my uncle knew a guy who managed commercial cleaning contracts for office buildings downtown. The pay wasn't great, but it was steady, and the hours were perfect for someone who'd rather sleep through the morning and stay up all night anyway. The building was called the Meridian Plaza. 12 floors of mostly medical offices, a few law firms, some insurance companies. Nothing special. During the day, it was busy with receptionists and patients and people in suits rushing to meetings. But at night, it was just me and the silence. I started in late September. The leaves were just beginning to turn, and there was that autumn chill in the air that makes you want to wear a hoodie everywhere. My shift ran from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., 5 nights a week, Sunday through Thursday. The building manager, Mr. Kellerman, walked me through my first night, showed me where the supply closet was, which floors needed the most attention, how to work the industrial floor buffer without electrocuting myself. "One more thing," he said, right before he left. We were standing in the lobby, and he had his coat on, keys in hand, ready to go home to his warm bed while I started my shift. The elevator. I looked over at the elevator. Regular elevator. Silver doors, up and down buttons, nothing unusual. "What about it?" Mr. Kellerman hesitated. He was an older guy, maybe 60, with this thick gray mustache and tired eyes. The kind of guy who'd been doing this job for 30 years and had seen everything there was to see in an empty building at night. He looked at the elevator, then back at me, and I could tell he was trying to figure out how much to say. "Sometimes," he said slowly, "the elevator makes noises at night, knocking sounds, like someone's inside, banging on the doors." I shrugged. "Old building, right? Pipes, settling, all that stuff." "Probably," he said, but he didn't sound convinced. "Here's the thing, though. If you hear knocking coming from the elevator shaft, especially between the floors, you just ignore it. Don't go looking. Don't press the button. Don't try to help whoever you think might be in there. Just ignore it and finish your shift. That's the rule." I laughed a little. "Is that like a hazing thing? Initiation for the new guy?" Mr. Kellerman didn't laugh. "It's the rule," he repeated. "Every night janitor who's worked here knows it. Ignore the knocking. Don't investigate. Just do your job and go home." I nodded like I understood, but honestly, I thought he was just messing with me. Old guy, boring job, trying to spook the new kid. I'd seen horror movies. I knew how this worked. He left, and I started my rounds. For the first 2 months, nothing happened. I fell into a routine pretty quickly. I'd start on the top floor and work my way down, emptying trash cans, vacuuming carpets, cleaning the bathrooms, wiping down surfaces. The building was quiet at night, but it was a comfortable kind of quiet. The hum of the heating system, the occasional creak of the structure settling, the distant sound of traffic outside. It was almost peaceful. I'd put in my earbuds and listen to podcasts or music while I worked, and the hours would fly by. The elevator did make noises sometimes, but it was always the normal stuff. The mechanical whir of the cables, the ding when it reached a floor, the doors opening and closing. Nothing that sounded like knocking. Nothing that made me think twice about Mr. Kellerman's weird warning. Then, in early November, something changed. It was a Tuesday night. I remember because I'd been off Monday for some dental thing, so it was my first night back that week. I was on the 8th floor, cleaning the waiting room of a dental practice. Ironic, I know, when I heard it for the first time. Thump. Thump. 3 knocks. Distinct. Rhythmic. Coming from the elevator shaft. I paused, taking out one earbud. The building was silent except for the distant hum of the HVAC. I waited, listening, but the sound didn't repeat. I told myself it was just the elevator car passing through the shaft, some mechanical hiccup, nothing to worry about. I put my earbud back in and kept working. But the next night, I heard it again. Thump, thump, thump. 4 knocks this time. Faster, more urgent. I was on the 6th floor, refilling soap dispensers in the women's restroom. The sound echoed through the walls, unmistakable. It wasn't mechanical. It wasn't pipes. It was someone or something knocking on the inside of the elevator doors. I walked out into the hallway. The elevator was at the end of the corridor, those silver doors reflecting the dim security lights. The floor indicator above the doors showed the car was on the 3rd floor, but the knocking had come from this floor, from the 6th floor shaft. I stood there for a long moment, remembering Mr. Kellerman's words. Ignore the knocking. Don't investigate. But curiosity is a powerful thing, especially when you're 23 and you think you know everything. I walked over to the elevator doors and pressed my ear against the cold metal. Silence. Then, so quietly, I almost missed it. I heard breathing. Slow, deliberate, coming from the other side of the doors. I jumped back, my heart suddenly hammering in my chest. The elevator car was on the 3rd floor. There shouldn't have been anything on the 6th floor shaft except empty space and cables. So, what the hell was breathing on the other side of those doors? I didn't investigate. I went back to the bathroom, finished my shift as fast as I could, and got out of there before sunrise. On the drive home, I convinced myself I'd imagined it. Echoes, acoustics, an overactive imagination fueled by too much caffeine and too little sleep. There was a rational explanation. There had to be. The next night, I was more on edge. I kept my earbuds out the whole shift, listening. The building felt different now, less peaceful, more watchful. Like the walls themselves were waiting for something to happen. The knocking started around 2 a.m. Thump, 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 thump. 5 knocks, hard enough that I could feel the vibration through the floor. I was on the 4th floor, and the knocking was coming from the 4th floor shaft, but the indicator showed the elevator car was stationary on the 1st floor, where I'd left it. So whatever was making that sound, it wasn't inside the car. I called Mr. Kellerman. It was almost 3 in the morning, but he answered on the 2nd ring, his voice groggy but alert. Marcus? What's wrong? The knocking, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. It's happening. The elevator. Someone, something, is inside the shaft. There was a long pause. Did you look? Did you press the button? No. I remembered what you said. I ignored it. Good. He sounded relieved. That's good, Marcus. Just keep ignoring it. Finish your shift and go home. Mr. Kellerman, what is it? What's in there? Another pause. Longer this time. I don't know, he finally said. And I don't want to know. Neither do you. Just follow the rule, Marcus. That's all you have to do. He hung up. I stared at my phone for a minute, then at the elevator doors at the end of the hall. The knocking had stopped. The building was silent again, but it wasn't the comfortable silence I'd gotten used to. This was a heavy silence, a waiting silence, the kind of silence that feels like it's about to break. I finished my shift and went home, but I barely slept. I kept thinking about that breathing on the other side of the doors. I kept wondering what would happen if I broke the rule. If I pressed the button? If I looked? The breaking point came 3 nights later. It was Sunday, technically Monday morning, my last shift of the week. I was exhausted, running on maybe 4 hours of sleep total over the past few days. Every night, the knocking had gotten worse, louder, more insistent. Sometimes it sounded like fists pounding on metal. Other times, it sounded like fingernails scratching. Once, I could have sworn I heard a voice, muffled, distant, like someone calling for help from very far away. But I'd followed the rule. I'd ignored it. I'd kept my head down and done my job. Until that night. I was on the 2nd floor, mopping the hallway outside a pediatrician's office. The floor had these cartoon animals painted on the walls: giraffes, elephants, lions with big friendly smiles. During the day, kids probably loved it. At night, in the dim security lighting, those smiling animals looked wrong. Their eyes seemed to follow me as I worked. The knocking started at exactly 3:33 a.m. I remember the time because I looked at my phone right before it began, checking how much longer I had until sunrise. Thump. 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 6 knocks, the loudest yet. They seemed to shake the entire floor. And then, something new. Something that made my blood run cold. A child's voice, coming from inside the elevator shaft. "Please, I'm scared. Let me out." The voice was small, trembling. The voice of a little girl, maybe 5 or 6 years old. It echoed through the metal doors, muffled but unmistakable. "Please, it's dark in here. I want my mommy." I dropped the mop. Every rational part of my brain was screaming at me. This wasn't possible. There was no child in the building. The elevator car was on a different floor. This had to be some kind of trick or hallucination or... "Please, I can hear you out there. Please help me." I took a step toward the elevator, then another. The rule was forgotten. How could I ignore a child? How could I just walk away and leave someone trapped in the dark? I reached the elevator doors. My hand hovered over the call button. The indicator showed the car was on the 7th floor, but the voice was right here, right on the other side of these doors. "Please," the child's voice whimpered. "The bad man is coming back. Please let me out before he comes back." The bad man. Something about those words cut through the fog in my exhausted brain. I pulled my hand back from the button. I thought about Mr. Kellerman's face when he told me the rule, the seriousness in his eyes, the way he'd said, "Don't try to help whoever you think might be in there." Whoever. Or whatever. "Please," the voice said again, and now it sounded different. Less scared. More demanding. "Press the button. Let me out. Let me out now. 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 Now." The voice changed. It deepened. It twisted. What had been a child's plea became something guttural and wrong, a voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Let me out." I ran. I didn't look back. I didn't grab my coat or my phone charger or anything. I just ran down the stairwell, my footsteps echoing through the concrete shaft until I burst out into the parking lot. The cold November air hit my face, and I stood there gasping, my breath coming out in clouds of steam. The building loomed above me, dark and silent. On the 2nd floor, I could see the dim glow of the security lights through the windows. For just a second, I thought I saw a shadow pass in front of one of them. A shadow that was too tall, too thin, too wrong to be human. I quit the next day, called Mr. Kellerman and told him I wasn't coming back. He didn't ask why. He just said, "I understand," in a tone that told me he really, truly did. A few weeks later, I ran into one of the other night janitors at a gas station. Older guy named Reggie, been working at Meridian Plaza for almost 10 years. I asked him about the elevator, about the rule. Reggie got real quiet. He looked around like he was checking to make sure no one was listening, then leaned in close. "You ever hear the voice?" he asked. I nodded. My mouth was suddenly dry. Most folks hear it once or twice and quit. The ones who stay, they learn to tune it out. But there was a guy before you, a couple years back, young kid like you. Heard the voice, thought it was real, opened the doors. What happened? Reggie shook his head. They found him in the elevator shaft the next morning. At the bottom, all broken up. But here's the thing. He paused, and his eyes met mine. The doors were closed when they found him. The elevator was working fine. Whatever happened to him, he didn't fall. Something pulled him in. I didn't sleep well for months after that conversation. I still don't, sometimes. I'll wake up at 3:33 a.m. for no reason, and I'll lie there in the dark, listening to the silence of my apartment, and I'll think about that voice, that child's voice, so scared, so convincing. And I'll think about what would have happened if I'd pressed that button. I still don't know what was in that elevator shaft. I don't want to know. But I do know one thing for certain. Mr. Kellerman was right. Some rules exist for a reason, and some doors should never, ever be opened.